Yes, Marina, please introduce yourself fully and tell us about your work and please tell us a story.
Okay. So thank you for being here. I really enjoy all the workshops and listening to the stories from so many people. And this morning, I really went up 4 o'clock in the morning to listen to the body workshop and the memory workshops, because it was so interesting to me, even if it was very early to me. So my name is Marina. Some people know me also as Maria Granlund, but that's another story I will not tell today. I'm an actress and I am a storyteller. I became a storyteller when I gave birth to my first son. So something happened in life. I had to change direction and I got a vision to become a storyteller, like a Shahrazad, who dances and who tells stories and sings and use my body as an instrument. And that was 1985. And since then, my traveling as a storyteller has gone many ways. And the healing way was something that I understood very early in my storytelling. I could see what happened in children when I worked with children. I could see what happened with adults being in crisis. And even if I did sometimes same exercises as other teachers did when I was teaching, because with my second child, my daughter, I started to teach because that was another path in my way, in my life. Comparative storytelling, comparative mythologies, religious stories, traditions, folk traditions is something that is the center of my life work. Where do people meet? Where do stories meet? Where do they say the same thing but in different shapes? That is something that I love to go on with. So now we are going to Greece. Actually, my spouse is from Greece. I have lived with another culture here in Sweden. So I speak Greek, and I had a huge call for Greece at a very small, young age. Actually, when I first found this myth that I'm going to tell you now, I think I was about 9 years old when I found this comic book with a story that somehow just dragged me into it, and it has followed me my whole life. So let's start. Once upon a time, long ago, in the time when the Olympic gods ruled over the world, life was a paradise on earth. Every day, the humankind, they could eat the fresh salad. They could pick sweet fruits and sour fruits. And they could harvest the field to bake and to eat the bread, the fresh bread every day, all the year around. The one who made this possible was actually the goddess Dimitra. Dimitra, the fertility goddess, Dimitra. Dimitra, she was the grandchild of the Mother Gaia, Mother Earth, Mana Yi. And she was the daughter of Rhea. She also had a daughter, Icoritis, Ipiomorphicoritis, Persephone, the beautiful daughter Persephone. And she loved to watch her playing and dancing and singing. She was the joy in her life. But you know, Dimitra had hard work to do. It was a lot of work to let the rain pour and fill the ground just enough so that everything, the earth will soften and the stems and the flowers and the grains, everything will grow. And then let the sun shine with its warmth and heat just enough so that everything will grow and ripe. So of course she had to work. She had to go to work from early morning to late night. And Persephone, yes, Persephone, she had to be with her friends. And during those days, Persephone and her friends, yeah, they were playing seek and hide, and they were dancing and singing, and they were picking flowers, and they were making garlands, putting in the hair, and then they were dancing and singing. And so the days went on and on and on and on. But one day Persephone saw a flower. It was a flower that was like calling for her. It was a bit far away, and she looked at it every day. And one day, without saying anything to her friends, she just went towards the flower. And she saw the flower, and she took her little hand to pick the flower, but it was stuck. So she had to take some more force. And then she had to take her two hands to drag the flower up. And under her, where the roots of the flower had been, there was a big hole. A big black hole, and it grew bigger and bigger and bigger. And she just stood there like frozen, looking into the dark hole, when she heard cop. Out of the hole came a chariot, a golden chariot, dragon by 4 black horses, and they were strong. And in the golden chariot there was a king. Oh, you could see that he was a king because he had a golden crown on his head, and it was full of jewelries, rubies, sapphires, amethysts, whatever you like. But it was a serious king. And he looked at the girl. And with his arm, he abducted her. And with a snatch, he turned the horses into the black hole again. And it was closed. And on earth, there was a silence. Persephone! Persephone! Where are you? Può essere Persephone, Ella. Men kom då, Persephone. Var är du någonstans? Göm dig inte. Persephone, where are you? Her friends were looking for her, but they couldn't find her. And when the evening came, they were standing with tears in their eyes, hardly looking at Dimitra. And they were telling the story of how they had been looking for her and couldn't find her. And Dimitra, she was standing still, looking at the children, listening to every word that they were telling her. Then she turned her chariot into the woods. And she looked thoroughly everywhere. Under the moss, behind the stones, behind the trees. And she asked all the nymphs that lives in the trunk of the trees. She asked the nymphs that lives in the creek and in the rivers, but no one had seen her, no one, except one. But Dimitra didn't see her. She didn't hear her. Because when she had tried to stop the kidnapper, she had tried to stop Persephone, and she had her belt in her hand. The abductor had taken her voice from her. So she was calling, but there was no voice, and Dimitra couldn't hear her. So Dimitra, she continued in the night, and she went up to the moon goddess, to the dark moon goddess, Ikati. She's the one that can see in the dark. She's the one that knows every herb. She's the one who knows everything that's going on in the darkness, but not even she knew what had happened. At least she says so. Go to Ilion, she said. Go to the sun god. He may know. And so Dimitra did. She went to the sun god Ilion. The sun, who can see everywhere, who can seek into every hole where it's possible. And he knew. He knew that it was in Oadis, που έχει κλέψει την κόρη σου για να την κάνει βασίλισσα. It's Hades, Oadis, the king of the underworld, the god of the underworld, who has abducted your daughter to make her his queen in the underworld. When Dimitra heard this, she was like frozen. Should her daughter live there in the underworld, in the dark underworld, hearing those voices from the dead people in the darkness with that brother of hers? Because actually the Greeks, they have a very specific history. They are all sisters and brothers. But no matter what, she couldn't see her daughter live there. And she said, no, no, no. And she went straight ahead up to the Olympic mountain, where her brother Zeus with a thunder. And she told him, now you must help me to get back Persephone up on the earth again. And of course, he's her uncle. Of course, he should help. Some people also say that she is Persephone's father, but who knows? Anyway, they're related. But you know, Zeus, if Hades is the serious king, so Zeus, oh, he enjoys the good life. He can sit there up on the Olympic and he can look all over the world. He can see everything. He can even see the Olympic Games. And he enjoys women. Yes, women, half goddesses, nymphs, whatever. He enjoys them and has children with them. And he feels it's a little bit uncomfortable to speak to Hades, his brother. So he tried to say, yes, but sister dear, don't you know she will become the richest of all goddesses. She will have the most beautiful jewelries, the diamonds, the sapphires, the rubies, and she will have the most beautiful dresses, and all the goddesses, they will actually envy her. So you should be lucky. But this wasn't what Dimitra wanted to hear. Okay, she said, if you don't want to help me, I will let the rain pour too much on earth so that everything will rotten. And then I will let the sun shine too much so that everything will dry. And the earth will become a desert. And then people will starve and die. And the gods will have no one to rule over. So she said, and so she did. Now Zeus had to do something, so he called for his son, Hermes, or Hermes, he with the golden sandals and the golden winged helmet. Hermes is the trickster of the Olympic gods. He's the only one that can travel at all places, and he's the messenger, but he's also a thief or a burglar or a businessman. He's the protector of them. So now he goes down to the underworld and he gives some coin to the ferryman, Charon, that rows him over the river Styx. He comes to the big gate, which is watched by the Kerberos dog, the angry dog, the wild angry dog with 3 angry heads and a dragon head on its tail. But he knew what to do. He just threw a biscuit into every big gape. Ooh, they become so soft, and they let him in. And in that big mountain, big room, saloon, there sits on the throne Oadis. He's serious, and beside him is Persephone. She's a little bit bored. He listens to Hermes, and he says, okay, he can enjoy his life up there on the Olympic mountain, my brother Zeus, but I cannot have not even one joy in life. But don't worry, I will let her go. But he also knew that she hadn't eaten and drinking the whole time in the underworld. So he let her pass into the underworld's garden. And in that garden, there was growing trees, beautiful trees. And they had beautiful pink flowers with some princess crowns. And when the flower leaves were falling, there was a fruit. There was a red fruit, a beautiful fruit, a pomegranate. And when Persephone saw that pomegranate, she suddenly felt how thirsty she was. And she looked around if there was no one to see her. And then she took the fruit and she opened it. Oh, it was full of juicy seeds, red, blood red, juicy seeds. And she took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Some people say it was only 3, but I say 6 now. And they were so sweet, so sweet. But then they had a bitter aftertaste. So she went up to the upper world, and there was her mother waiting for her. And Dimitra, when she saw her daughter, she just hugged her. And she kissed her, and she hugged her, and she kissed her, and she hugged her. And then she took a strong grip and looked into the eyes of Persephone and said, I hope you haven't eaten and drinking anything in the underworld, because if you have done so, you're doomed to stay in the underworld for eternity. That is the law. Do you think Persephone could see her mother in her eyes? No. She looked down. And when she looked down, Dimitri understood. She understood. And she still said, no, no, I don't care. I won't let it happen. So she still continued to let the rain fall too much and to let the sun shine too much, so that the humans, they were starving and started to die on Earth. And so now all the Olympic gods, they had to make a big gathering, and they decided, because Persephone had been eaten 6 juicy seeds, she will have to stay 6 months in the underworld, and the other 6 months she will come up to be in this world again on Earth. And that is the time when Dimitra is enjoying herself so much, so that when Persephone comes up, and here in Sweden where I live, that is close to come. It's like a fight between winter and spring. But Dimitra, she can feel the spring is coming, and she starts to dance and stamp on the earth and like waking up the earth, and she makes the dews rise in the trees, and slowly, 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 they are just ready to burst when finally Persephone comes up, and everything will bloom, the small flowers will come, and the longer Persephone is in the world with her mom, they will share spring and summer, and we can eat fresh salad, pick sweet fruits and bake the bread, and we have a paradise on earth. But when it's time for Persephone to go back to the underworld, Dimitra, she's so sad. So she let everything die on earth, and we got autumn and winter. But when it's time for her to come back again, you know what will happen. And maybe you feel it when spring is coming. If you're a child, maybe you just want to look out your window all the time. You can't sit still in school. You just want to go out and play. Or maybe some of you wants to dance. Or for example, I just have to go out in the nature and dance. And that was the story about how we got our seasons, our 4 seasons. Thank you. I can't hear you. No, there's a sound, but I can't hear you. Please speak. I hear the sound microphone, but I can't hear you.
Eric, we can't hear you. Just switch on and off your audio. It was a beautiful story. I'd heard it before, but the way you said it, it was a charm, you know. I really enjoyed. Thank you so much for sharing it.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. Yes, there are many versions of this story, of course. And as I said, I sometimes struggle with this with the seeds. I said six seeds. That is what I usually tell to children to know about the winter and the seasons. But there's also this with the number of 3. And there's also this version, for example, that she eats 3 seeds and she has to stay a third of a year in the underworld. And that is more, for example, maybe that suits India more or Greece more even, because we have different climates. So
it is even said pomegranate has a, not only because of the color red, pomegranate, the individual part is also a fruit in itself.
yeah,
It's a fruit in itself. So it's like a fruit within a fruit, multiple fruits within a fruit. So it has a lot of significance, that pomegranate itself, the fruit. So
yes,
this story has a lot of meaning other than the season change. Uh, it is kind of a fertility story also.
yes. It is definitely a fertility story. So, and Demeter, Mitra, the means goddess, and Mitra means womb. And she's a fertility goddess. And of course, there's a lot of fertility things in this story. And just as you say, each has a story. Hades, or Hades, he's he's the richest. Not only the jewelry, all the seeds. It's the rooms where you have the seeds, and just like you say, the fertility, it's about richness, that every seed is a story in itself, or will make a new tree or whatever. So there are many point of views in the story. The way, yeah, I can't hear you still. No, I can hear everyone else when they speak. Something has happened to you, to your voice, to
I'll be
no,
right back.
no,
Now
no,
we can
there's
hear you.
no,
Okay? No.
no, I will not record.
Coming and going. It's coming and going.
Yeah. Now, yeah. Are you there? Speak. Now you're gone again. Your voice was there. Anyway, you can hear me. Is there anyone else that feel that in that moment I was really there in the